Yeah, I mean, after the game, I was emotional. I mean, it was a long journey back. And I'm just happy we got the W. And, I mean, there's some things I need to work on. And I'm excited to get back out here and practice and doing it.
And how are you feeling?
I'm all right.
And with Cody now progressing like he's in the mix, do you see yourself shifting, or is that still up in the air?
I mean, that's not up to me. That's up in the air. Right now, I'm getting ready to play the Seahawks, and that's all I'm worried about.
And then obviously this past weekend was your first game, but it was the best the running game has played and been effective. When you looked at tape and maybe just a feel from you being out there on the field, what was the difference and what allowed you guys to be so successful?
I believe it was just like I said on I think it was last Thursday. We were able to on last Wednesday go pretty live and work on our footwork and just getting our techniques corrected and getting them panned out right. And I mean, credit to Bobby and our offensive line coaches for getting that done.
And you guys been doing that because Devin mentioned the one-on-one or 1-0 versus 1D that carried over into this week, and how frequent has that become?
I think last week was the first week, I believe. Definitely the first week since I've been back, and yeah, I think it helped us.
Cool. Thanks, Jon.
Thank you.
Hey, Jon, Thad Brown, good to see you, man. I
up,
want
Thad?
to ask, I appreciate it. Want to ask, you guys saw so many defensive back heavy defenses last week against the Patriots. How much different is it for you blocking, especially at the second level, a D-back instead of a linebacker or a DN? Obviously, you got the size advantage, but it's a much smaller target and a much quicker target to hit.
That's easier. Once you get your hands on them, you can really just throw them around. Seattle won't be like that. You know, they got some good old vets in there, Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright. I think it's KJ Wright, whatever his first name is. But, yeah, they pose a different threat, and I'm looking forward to it.
Is it really just as simple as, you're trained to pull around a corner and see a linebacker or come off a D-tackle and get down to the second level, and when you see a D-back, you're like, oh, great, this is going to be fine. Is it really that simple? Yeah,
I mean, they're just spots, Some of our play calls, some of our zone schemes or our pin and pull stuff, sometimes you don't know how the defense is going to react if the safety's going to be coming down, and then you might be on a safety. It all depends on, who has the force on the defense and how the defense is playing it. So, there's just spots when you get out there and sometimes you don't even know who you're blocking until after, but usually you get a feel.
Cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jon. Adam from 7ABC. Thanks for taking the time. Good to see you.
What up, Adam?
Not much. Just wondering, your first game back, and all of a sudden you're thrown into the mix a couple reps at center that you weren't kind of expecting. I know you're all focused on Seattle, but what was that kind of like, just to kind of almost kind of have a shell shock in a way of, oh, it's my first game back, but now I have to change positions too?
I mean, it's probably beneficial, to be honest. Dealing with, my pec's not 100%, but I mean, I'm healthy, and moving into center was definitely a way to protect it a little more.
What percent would you say that it's at, and how does center protect it more for you?
Like 97.
Okay.
And I mean, when you just have help on both sides when you're at center.
And one last thing, this was something that some of your teammates were talking about, just in terms of the energy that you bring to the table. Was there something that you noticed once you got back, and how much did you miss kind of being the spark for a lot of the rest of the guys on offense?
I mean, the one thing that definitely stood out the most was I thought it would be harder to play without fans. I mean, I was definitely more tired because, when when a big play happens, you get the roar of our fans, and that gives you energy, and you don't realize how tired you are. But it wasn't as different as I thought it was going to be.
I meant even around the facility and on the sideline, and kind of what you bring and how some of the other guys feed off you in particular.
I mean, honestly, I've been doing this stuff my whole career. It's nothing different. I'm just going to go out there and do whatever I can to help this team win, and whatever happens because of that, it's my job.
All right. Thanks, Jon.
Hey, John, Mike Catalana in Rochester.
How you doing, Mike?
Good, good. When you talk about getting tired, everybody sees there are times when you guys go with pace, you go faster. And there's advantages, but you're the lineman. What's it like when you're playing with speed like that? Both the advantage of maybe keeping them off, but it's got to wear on an offensive lineman when you're playing like that.
I mean, I'm used to it. Definitely in college, we played with tempo, and out in Oakland when I was there, we did definitely have some tempo. The good thing about it is the defensive line rotates a lot more than the offensive line is. So we're usually, I would say, in better game condition. So being able to keep one of their defensive lines in, it makes our job easier when they get tired. And sometimes the pass rush is not as volatile as it can be.
And one other thing, the touchdown last week with Zach Moss, it appeared you grabbed him and helped try to toss him into the end zone. Did you have a little talk, Zach, about that afterward? Is that something I don't know if you could practice? Like, how does that work like that?
I mean, so it was an outside zone to the right, and I kind of got jammed up on the 3 technique, and I was trying to run over to get my linebacker. I might have got a little hand on him to push him a little bit, and then Zach cut off of him, and I mean, he was just right there, so I just grabbed him and yoked him up, and then Brian came in from the back, and I saw Brian in like a last second kind of thing. I saw Brian, so I knew just to kind of torque my body and just let the momentum of Brian hitting Zach just throw him in there.
Now, you almost got a touchdown last year on that recovery. Do you think you should get a third of the touchdown, you and Winters and Moss split that touchdown?
No, let Zach have that. I'll get one eventually.
All right, thanks a lot.
What's up, John? How you doing?
Matt, what up?
So, I wanted to ask you about this because, one of the things your teammates always talk about is, how well you see the game, how smart you are, communication, all that stuff. Deion Dawkins signed a contract extension, and by all accounts, he's just playing better than he ever has before. I mean, how good has he been, and how important has that been to the offense's success through 8 games?
I mean, it's really important. Deion is there's just some things that he can do that a lot of people cannot. Take our outside zone, for example. Whenever it's towards him and it's a D end out there and he's working by himself, people don't understand how hard it is to get on the dude and then widen him the way Deion does, especially when you're by yourself and the DN could go inside, and if he goes inside, it blows up the whole play. So, there's a lot of tackles that are worried and just worried that they're going to get beat inside and don't take their proper footwork or just butt them up and not widen the hole. So Deion, I tell him all the time, like, dude, you're like, no one can do that. No, not a lot of people can do that. So, I mean, he's worth every single dollar they paid him.
And finally, I think we talked last camp when Mitch was dealing with the last concussion about you just telling him, listen, we got this, take your time. He wanted to get back out there. What's the conversation like this time around? Is it similar or, because I know how much he means to you guys in that line.
Yeah, it's similar. I'm going to just let Mitch
Got a mitzvah for you, big boy.
just let Mitch will be all right. Just wish him the best and hope he gets healthy as soon as possible.
Thanks, man.
That was Mario, by the way. Mario. There he is.